On Thanksgiving, family kicked me out because I gave them only $4,000 a month, but they wanted more. Wife opened my eyes, and I went to do something that made them cry. Thanksgiving at my parents' house always followed a predictable pattern. The smell of roasted turkey and pumpkin pie filled the air, laughter echoed through the rooms, and my parents, along with my two younger brothers, Jason, 18, and Matt, 20, made sure to catch me up on everything going on in their lives. Well, mostly what they spent money on that month. For the past 3 years, I'd given them $4,000 each month. It wasn't something they asked for at first. I offered to help because I was doing well financially and wanted to make their lives easier. It was a relief for them at first. My dad was able to cut back on his work hours, my mom quit her part-time job, and my brothers didn't have to take out loans for college. It felt good to help them. But over time, something changed. Instead of gratitude, there was this expectation. As if my monthly remittances were just part of the family routine. They'd casually talk about the new gadgets they'd bought or the weekend trips they'd taken, all the while hinting that $4,000 didn't go as far as it used to. This Thanksgiving was no different, at least not at first. We all sat around the table, Megan next to me, her baby bump just beginning to show under her sweater. She'd been quiet most of the evening, which I figured was just because she was tired. She was 6 months pregnant, and though she'd never said anything directly, I knew she wasn't thrilled about how much money I was sending home to my family. So, we were thinking, my dad began, smiling as he spooned mashed potatoes onto his plate. With inflation and everything, maybe you could help us out a little more starting next month? Just $1,000 or $2,000 more would make such a difference. Right, guys? Jason and Matt nodded immediately, grinning like they'd just gotten an early Christmas present. Oh yeah, Matt said. I've been looking at this new gaming PC, top-of-the-line specs. I could really use it for school stuff. He didn't even try to sound convincing. Jason chimed in. And I've been thinking about getting a car. Something reliable, you know? It would help with my classes. He didn't mention that he dropped out of his first semester a month ago, and was exploring his options. All three of them looked at me with such confidence, as if they already knew my answer. My dad even chuckled and added, "You've always been so generous. We're lucky to have you, son." I glanced at Megan, who gave me a small, almost imperceptible shake of her head. That was all I needed to steel myself for what I was about to say. "I can't do that," I said, my voice steady. "Actually, I have to cut back. Things are tight right now, with the baby on the way, and I can't keep giving you $4,000 a month. Starting next month, I'll have to cut it to $2,000. The room fell silent. My father's smile disappeared, replaced by a furrowed brow. My mother's fork clattered on her plate. Jason and Matt exchanged wide-eyed glances before Jason broke the silence. "Wait, what? You're cutting it in half?" He looked genuinely offended. "I'm sorry," I said. "Megan and I need to think about our future. It's not that I don't want to help, but $4,000 is a lot, and we just can't afford it anymore." My mother let out a dramatic sigh. "You know, your father and I work so hard to keep this house going. And your brothers, they're so young. How can you expect them to focus on their future when they're worried about money? They're 18 and 20. I said. "They can get part-time jobs or something. I'm not saying they have to support themselves completely, but they should contribute." Matt crossed his arms. "You don't get it. It's hard to find the motivation to do anything right now. Jobs suck, and school is a drag. Why should I bother when I can't even see a clear path forward?" "And what about me?" Jason added. "You think I want to flip burgers or bag groceries? That's not who I am." My father pointed his fork at me. "You've always been the responsible one, the one we could count on. And now you're just cutting us off? What are we supposed to do? Work harder?" The accusation stung more than I had expected. I'd spent years helping them, not because I had to, but because I wanted to. And now it felt like none of it mattered. They weren't just ungrateful, they were entitled. When my dad told me to leave, I didn't argue. Megan and I packed up and left without touching dessert. That night, as I sat on our couch with my head in my hands, I couldn't stop replaying their words. All I'd ever wanted was to be a good son, a good brother. But instead, I'd created a monster. The drive home was quiet. Megan didn't say much, but I could tell she was holding back. She was always the one who kept me grounded, the voice of reason when I got caught up in the demands of my family. That night, though, she waited until we got home. As soon as we walked through the door, I sank into the couch, completely exhausted. Megan stood in front of me, her arms crossed over her growing belly. "Are you okay?" she finally asked. "No," I admitted. "I feel like I let them down. Like I've been helping all this time, and the one time I say I can't give any more, they just kick me out. It's like none of it matters." She sat down beside me and put a hand on my knee. "Look, I've kept quiet about this for a long time because I didn't want to make things harder for you. But tonight I can't keep quiet anymore. What they did was wrong. The way they treated you was wrong. They're my family," I said, though the words felt hollow even as they came out. "I thought helping them was the right thing to do." "It was," she said. "But they don't see it that way anymore. To them, it's not help, it's a paycheck. And now they're angry because you're putting our family first. You, me, and our baby." Her words hit me like a ton of bricks. I'd always justified the money by telling myself I was keeping my family afloat, but Megan was right. They weren't just leaning on me, they were using me. And I let it happen because I didn't want to feel like a bad son or brother. "They kicked me out, Megan," I said, my voice cracking. "On Thanksgiving." She nodded, her eyes softening. "I know. And you didn't deserve it. You were more than generous, and they took advantage of you. But this is the wake-up call you needed. You have to think of us now. About our baby. Do you really want to keep pouring money into a situation where you're not appreciated?" The answer was obvious, but saying it out loud felt like admitting defeat. "No," I finally said. "I don't." "Then it's time to stop," she said. "Not just cut back, stop completely. They'll figure it out, and if they don't, it's not your responsibility anymore." I didn't respond, but I couldn't shake the image of my parents' faces when I told them I was cutting back. How angry they were, how betrayed they acted. It was like they didn't even see me as a person anymore, just a bank account. I barely slept that night. I kept going over every conversation I'd had with them over the past few years, realizing how many red flags I'd ignored. The way my father always brought up money like it was a casual topic. The way my brothers never thanked me, but always had something new they needed. The way my mother would guilt me for even hinting that I was stretched too thin. By morning, I'd made up my mind. Megan was right, it was time to quit. Not just for me, but for her and for our child. I wasn't going to let my family's demands ruin my future with them. The next step would be the hardest, telling my parents and brothers that they were on their own. On Sunday afternoon, I called my parents and told them I wanted to come over and talk to them. They sounded a little surprised, but they agreed. Megan wanted to come with me, but I told her to stay home. This was something I needed to do alone. When I arrived at their house, everything looked normal. Jason's car was parked randomly in the driveway, and through the living room window I could see Matt sitting on the couch with his gaming headset on, probably yelling at some kid on the other side of the world. For a moment, I wondered if I was making too big a deal out of this. Maybe they'd understand if I explained things calmly. Maybe they'd even apologize for the way they acted on Thanksgiving. That hope lasted about 30 seconds. As soon as I walked in, my mom started talking as if nothing had happened. "Oh good, you're here. We were just checking out the Black Friday deals. There's this patio set that your dad and I have been eyeing, so nice. And the boys found some things they'd like for Christmas." She handed me a piece of paper with links printed on it, as if I were Santa Claus and not her son. I didn't sit down. "Mom, I'm not here to talk about Christmas lists. I'm here because we need to have a serious talk." That got her attention. My dad muted the football game and Matt took off his headset. Jason came in from the kitchen, still chewing on something. They all sat down and looked at me expectantly. I've been doing a lot of thinking. I began. And after what happened on Thanksgiving, I realized that I need to make some changes. I've been helping you for years, and I don't regret it. But Megan and I have a baby on the way, and we need to focus on our family now. So as of right now, I'm going to stop sending you money. The silence was deafening. My dad's face turned red and my mom's jaw literally dropped. Jason and Matt just stared at me as if I told them I was canceling Christmas. What do you mean, stop sending money? My dad finally asked. You can't just cut us off like that. That's exactly what I'm doing, I said. It's not sustainable. You've had years to adjust, but instead you've gotten used to it. It's not my job to finance your lifestyle. Matt was the first to explode. Are you serious? So what, we're just supposed to fend for ourselves? I don't even have a job right now. Then get one, I said. You're 20 years old, Matt. Lots of people your age work while they go to school. Jason jumped in. This is so messed up, man. We've been struggling and you know it. How can you just leave us like this? I snapped. Struggling? You're not struggling. You sit around playing video games and complaining about motivation while I bust my ass to support you. You know what's struggling? Trying to save for a baby while your family is bleeding you dry. That's struggling. My mom started to cry. How can you talk to us like that? We're your family. I know you're my family, I said. That's why I helped you in the first place. But you took advantage of me, and I can't do it anymore. I won't. Then came the twist I hadn't seen coming. You think we don't know about Megan? My dad said suddenly, his voice deep and cold. What are you talking about? I asked, confused. We've been talking, he continued. Your wife has been whispering in your ear, hasn't she? Filling your head with ideas about cutting us off. I froze. That's ridiculous. This is my decision. Is it? My mother asked, her voice shaking. Because it sounds like she's pulling the strings around here. Ever since she came into the picture, you've been different. You used to care about this family. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. You're seriously blaming Megan? She's not the problem, you are. She's the one who opened my eyes to how toxic this had become. And you know what? She's right. Jason rolled his eyes. Wow, you really let her brainwash you, huh? Whatever happened to family first? Or does that only apply when it's convenient? Enough, I said. You don't get to make me feel guilty about putting my wife and child first. This isn't about Megan. This is about you refusing to take responsibility for your own life. My mother began to sob harder, and my father stood up and pointed a finger at me. If you leave here today and cut us off, don't bother coming back. You'll regret it. I looked him right in the eye. The only thing I regret is not doing this sooner. With that, I turned and walked out the door, leaving them in stunned silence. I barely made it to my car before my phone started buzzing. It was my mom. I ignored the call, then another from Jason, then a flood of texts. They ranged from angry to guilt-tripping to downright manipulative. Mom, we've always been there for you and this is how you repay us. Jason, don't worry, I'll just go live in my car since I guess I don't matter anymore. Dad, don't think for a second you can just waltz back into this family after what you did. When I got home, I felt like I was suffocating. Megan was waiting for me on the couch and looked up as I walked in. She must have seen the tension on my face because she didn't say anything right away. She just opened her arms, and for the first time in years, I let myself fall apart. After I told her everything, she remained silent for a moment before asking, "Do you think they'll actually cut you off?" I laughed bitterly. They won't cut me off. They can't afford to. They'll just keep trying to make me feel guilty until I give in. But that's not what happened next. The next morning, I woke up to find my social media inundated with posts from my brothers and even my parents. Jason had posted a picture of an empty refrigerator with the caption, "Guess family ain't what it used to be. Thanks for leaving us, bro." Matt had posted some vague story about how some people think money is more important than family. And my mom had written a long, dramatic post about how I'd broken her heart by choosing my wife over her. It was humiliating. Friends and even some distant relatives started messaging me to ask what was going on. Some people even sided with my family, saying things like, "You can't just leave your parents, they raised you," or, "It's just money, you'll make more." Megan was furious. "This is way beyond unacceptable," she said. "They're trying to destroy your reputation because they can't control you anymore." She was right, but I didn't know how to fight back. Every time I tried to explain my side, I felt like I was being painted as the villain. It was exhausting. Then something unexpected happened. That night I got a call from my Aunt Linda. She's my mom's older sister, and she's always been the black sheep of the family, divorced, outspoken, and not afraid to call people out. I hadn't talked to her in years, so I was surprised to see her name on my phone. "Hey, Linda," I said carefully. "What's up?" "I saw the circus your family's putting on," she said bluntly. "I just wanted to tell you I think you're doing the right thing." I blinked. "You do?" "Absolutely. Your parents have been like this for as long as I can remember. They use guilt to control people, and it's toxic as hell. I had to cut them off years ago because they used the same crap on me." I'd heard whispers that she and my parents had fallen out, but I'd never asked for details. Hearing her say it now felt like a weight lifted off my shoulders. "Look," she continued, "they're going to push every button they can to get you back in line. But if you give in, it'll never stop. Trust me, you're better off without them." Her words stayed with me. I didn't want to believe that my own family was toxic, but deep down I knew she was right. It was as if Megan and Linda had held up a mirror, forcing me to see what I'd been blind to for years. Still, the public spectacle was hard to ignore. And then, just when I thought things couldn't get any worse, another twist came out of nowhere. A few days after my Aunt Linda's phone call, I got another text from my mom. This one wasn't angry or manipulative, it was desperate. "I just came back from the doctor. My blood pressure is dangerously high. The stress of all this has made me sick. I hope you're happy. Now we may not even be able to afford my medicine. Please, can we just talk?" For a second I felt the old guilt creep in. But then I remembered Linda's words. "They'll push every button they can to get you back in line." I took a deep breath and knew what I had to do. I called my mom back. She answered the first ring, her voice immediately soft and weak, as if trying to sound as pitiful as possible. "Hi, honey," she said. "Thank you for calling. I've been so worried. I know you're upset, but we can't handle this alone. Your dad and I are getting older, and the boys dash." I cut her off. "Mom, stop. I've already made my decision. I'm not sending you any more money. It's not my responsibility to solve everyone's problems. You, Dad, and the boys are all able to work. It's time for you to take care of yourselves." There was a long silence, and then she began to cry. "You don't understand what you're doing to this family. You're tearing us apart. My health is failing, and now I have to worry about money on top of everything else? How could you do this to me?" I felt a pang of guilt, but I forced myself to push through. "I'm not doing anything to you. You did this to yourself by refusing to take responsibility. I've been helping for years and all it's done is make you dependent. I'm not going to keep enabling that." Her tone immediately changed from tears to anger. "Fine. If you want to leave your family, go ahead. But don't come crying to us when things fall apart for you." "I won't," I said firmly. "Goodbye, Mom." And just like that I hung up. It hurt more than I thought. Even though I knew it was the right thing to do, the finality of that conversation hit me like a ton of bricks. I'd spent so much of my life trying to be the perfect son, and now it was clear that I could never live up to their impossible expectations. For the next few months, I stuck with my decision. Jason and Matt sent me angry texts from time to time, blaming me for everything from their car problems to their lack of motivation. My dad emailed me once, saying he hoped I was happy, breaking up the family. I didn't respond to any of it. Eventually the messages stopped. I think they realized I wasn't going to back down, Megan and I focused on preparing for our daughter's arrival, and for the first time in years, I felt a sense of peace. When our daughter Ella was born, everything changed. When I held her for the first time, I felt a kind of love I'd never felt before. Suddenly all the stress and guilt of my family seemed so small and insignificant. Megan and I could finally focus on building a happy, healthy life for our little family. A few weeks after Ella's birth, I received a phone call from my Aunt Linda. "I just heard the good news," she said. "Congratulations. How does it feel to be a dad?" "It's incredible," I said. "I can't even put it into words." "Well," she said, her voice warm, "just remember you've got your own family now. You're doing the right thing, even if it's hard." She was right. Cutting my parents and brothers out of my life was one of the hardest things I'd ever done, but it was also one of the best. They were forced to figure things out for themselves, and I was finally free from the weight of their expectations. Now, every time I look at Ella, I know I made the right choice. She deserves a dad who will put her first, a dad who won't let anyone or anything get in the way of her happiness. And that's who I'm going to be.